Gun.
Hello, world, and welcome to Post Credits Commentary, a podcast where we make commentary post credits.
I'm Ian.
And I'm Allison.
Join us weekly as we give you our unfiltered opinions and hottest takes on recently watched films.
And spoiler alert, there will be spoilers.
Grab your popcorn, silence your phones, and let's roll the tape.
Welcome back, everybody. For this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the new Superman movie. This movie kind of introduces a bit of a reset for DC movies. They brought in James Gunn to direct, who well known for his Marvel work, and so DC's kind of trying to get a facelift, and this is kind of their first shot at that. This movie it sets up Superman and his little bit of his backstory and everything for the DCU, almost as if we haven't heard of Superman before, but obviously everybody knows who Superman is. But the main plot for this is Superman versus his well-known nemesis, Lex Luthor, and does some interesting things, I think, in showing us how the world sees Superman. But yeah, we'll get into it. What were your initial thoughts, Ian?
My initial thoughts of this movie are I really like it. I think it's a breath of fresh air, especially from the DC side of things. The kind of darkness that the DC universe was doing up to this point, I wasn't the biggest fan of that. I like how vibrant this is, how lighthearted it is. It's very James Gunn, and it's very comic booky, and I just think it works so well. And I think as the start of a universe, as you said, this is an attempt to restart the DC cinematic universe. I think it's a good start. You know, we'll probably make comparisons later to Iron Man, which was of course the start of the MCU, but I think it's on par with Iron Man, probably a little bit worse than Iron Man, but not like a ton. I think it's good. I do think my expectations were a bit too high, that I probably was a little disappointed with it, but it's still an enjoyable, very fun time in the movie theater, I think. What'd you think of it?
I really liked it. I would say that Superman in general, like obviously everybody knows who Superman is, but like he was never like one of my favorites superheroes. I don't know. Not that I dislike Superman, but just not somebody I ever like knew a whole lot about him and everything like that. So coming from like that perspective, I really liked how they represented him, and I kept thinking, did this movie feel like a Marvel movie? And I'm gonna say no.
Interesting.
It felt like a James Gunn movie, but I don't think it felt like a Marvel movie. I feel like there was still some parts to it that were maybe a little darker-ish. Not dark like DC likes to be dark, but like I feel like they would push in certain areas where Marvel won't.
Mm-hmm.
For example, just shooting an innocent man.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Point blank, like that. That's not something I would expect in a Marvel movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely is an improvement for DC. Like reading some of the criticisms online, like I think people are forgetting that this is a DC movie. And like how crazy that is compared to all the other DC movies.
But some people like the darkness of the DC movies, so.
That's fair, and I don't hate all the darkness. Like, even a new DC thing that was popular, The Penguin, pretty as dark as you can get at some points. But I really like that, and I think that worked for a TV show. But, I don't know. I like
The Penguin also notably is not part of the DCU.
I am intrigued to see if at some point they do put him in it.
They won't.
The Batman might be.
James Gunn has said numerous times that every time he thinks about it, he realizes that he doesn't think it'll work in the DCU he has planned, so he doesn't.
For the Penguin? Or Batman?
For Batman.
But it's crazy, though, because we got a little spoiler in this movie referencing Gotham.
Yeah, Gotham City still exists in the DCU.
I know.
There will still be a Batman in the DCU. It just won't be
saying.
Robert Pattinson.
I thought you meant he wasn't even going to include them.
No, of course he's going to
Okay.
include Batman.
Well, yeah, that's why I was kind of confused. Okay.
What?
Well, I thought that's what you meant. Okay.
He's the Trinity. Of course he has to include Batman.
Okay. All
Batman's
right.
already in the DCU because he's in Creature Commandos, which is canon
That's
to the
true.
DC
Yeah.
universe.
Okay. Got that confusion out of the way. But yes, overall thoughts. I thought it was pretty great. Was it perfect? No, but it was pretty good.
Ready to dive deeper?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Well, we open with what I think is genius use of text on screen. And actually, let me tell you something. I would love if the DCU continued to use text on screen, kind of akin to Star Wars, but instead of it like going up, it just like is on screen for you to read.
It's funny that you mentioned Star Wars because I feel like I remember reading that James Gunn wants the DCU to feel more like Star Wars and less like Marvel.
Interesting.
I also liked the text on screen. I think it's a quick way to just establish where we're at. Don't have to use narration or anything
Hmm.
like that. The only thing I will say is like I feel like there were like five different text lines or something, but I feel like as soon as I finished reading it, the next one was like up and the other one was gone. Like I feel like maybe they could have just kept it a slightly bit longer.
But you finished reading it.
I did, yes, and I know I'm a fast reader, so I feel like for people that aren't,
I had no problems reading it. Um, but I'm also a fast reader. But it kind of introduces us not only to the world that is already established. Big difference in this movie is that the world is pre-established. We do not see the origin story of Superman, which I like. I like that touch. But it also establishes the world that the DCU is. It calls it like says it brings in the era of gods and monsters, which for those that have followed the DCU, when James Gunn first announced it, that's the name of their first phase is gods and monsters. So we have right off the bat an introduction to the phase and then the world. Yeah, I mean, it just explains that Superman is the strongest metahuman known to everyone.
decades.
Yeah, and he loses his first fight 3 minutes ago.
Yeah. Jumping real quick back to your one comment about it already establishing Superman and not being an origin story. I also like this because I think it will give the chance to show bits and pieces, like gradually, of the
Mhm.
origin story, maybe, which I think helps with creating an entire universe.
I do wonder if down the line we'll get origin stories or if he will just establish that all of these heroes here already
Mm.
kind of exist. I guess, I don't know, kind of answered in this movie in a way because we have an origin story in a way. Like they already have their powers, but they don't want to be a hero until they meet Superman. So maybe some of that. But
They do establish a lot. Another thing that I don't even know if I noticed it during the movie, but looking back at things is at the Metropolis, like the little headquarters building where the gang
all of
meets
Justice.
Justice. There's like a whole mural of DC like famous superheroes.
Oh, is there?
Yeah. And so people were saying like it's hinting at like maybe some we might see eventually or like some that maybe have already been established. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because they're not called the Justice League yet.
It has like not even like I almost wonder if it was like just like a subtle nod from James Gunn to like DC in general
Okay.
because like they didn't focus on it at all. So
That they did not, because I didn't notice it. So yeah, basically the movie opens with a Superman getting absolutely he falls out of the sky and he's bleeding and
falls he's in Antarctica
yeah, he's in the snow.
and
He whistles,
yeah, which is pretty strong whistle for somebody who can barely move.
right?
That's all
Or
I'm gonna
breathe.
say.
But right off the bat, I gotta say, I like this inclusion. I have always sort of struggled to relate to Superman because I always viewed him as this like perfect being that like doesn't
Yes.
he like doesn't get injured or get hurt or anything like that.
Yeah, and I feel like I mean we'll get to it, but I feel like that sort of becomes a main theme in this entire movie.
100%. So I like this. I like this inclusion that like he's hurt. I liked it when the trailer came out. Like I think it's good inclusion that he's fighting something that actually does hurt him, and it's not an interesting movie if he wasn't struggling the whole time.
I I will say like Like the person he is fighting in this is ultimately like who he just keeps fighting
Mhm.
throughout the rest of the movie. But I feel like there wasn't enough of an emphasis on like or like a shock that there was this other thing just as powerful as him when they in the beginning established that he's the most powerful. Like I don't know, maybe there just wasn't enough angst around that.
How do you want more angst?
I don't know.
Because Lex Luthor goes to the government and he says, created something that's more powerful than Superman. It's like we as the audience know that this thing is more powerful. So like we know
Mm.
that he's in for a fight. I think some people miss that because a lot of people online are like, I don't understand why this thing is like beating up Superman so bad. And it's because he is established to be stronger than Superman. But
Yeah, I get that. Maybe just from like Superman's perspective, I feel like I don't see him like expressing like disbelief or something on how.
mm,
Like it doesn't. He's obviously like wants to keep fighting, but like there's no. Like, he doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, why can't I?
yeah, I don't know if Superman ever actually feels he's in danger the whole movie. Like he himself, except for one moment,
Yeah,
probably.
that's fair.
So when he whistles, we call in Crypto, the super dog, making his, I want to say, first live action appearance. Cannot confirm that,
Pretty sure. Yep.
but I am pretty sure.
But also, we love crypto.
Yep, he is a dog with Gape who has superpowers because he's cool. We get a bit of James Gunn humor here as he beats Superman up, jumping on him, licking his face, nut clamping at his feet and stuff.
Uh, Fun fact: this dog is based off of James Gunn's own dog. Adopted a dog from like I want to say like a breeding shelter or a breeding place or something like that. So the dog had like no interaction with humans ever really. It was very bad dog that didn't listen. But not just that, basing off of that, but actual like footage, like when he's jumping on Superman is from footage of his dog jumping on his cat.
Yep,
I thought that was like a good, I don't know, I like that.
yep, because there's a lot of people for some reason that think this dog doesn't act like a dog. But
I mean, he's super strong, which was a little weird, but like he's super dog.
James Gunn literally took footage of his dog and just made it Crypto. So I don't know how.
I actually like I knew Crypto was going to be in the movie because one of the first like teaser scenes they released was this opening scene.
Yeah, it was the very first thing they did.
But I was surprised pleasantly by how much he is included in the movie.
Hmm.
Like he's not just like this little side thing. Like he arguably has some control in the plot.
Yeah, no, he's not just a cameo character. He's definitely like in this movie. So, so he eventually gets Crypto to drag him home to the Fortress Solitude, which bursts out of the ice, which is so cool.
I agree. This is a great shot.
Yeah, it's just smart to think of why can no one find his Fortress of Solitude ever? Well, if it's actually in the ground and comes up when it senses Superman's DNA, then yeah, that's cool. That's a great idea.
And the way that it designed it is also very cool. I don't know how comic accurate it is or anything, as I'm not familiar with that, but it was gorgeous looking.
I also like this design. I think in the comics it's basically like just I don't know. There's varying
Yeah.
designs. I'm pretty sure. So, and then we meet these
Robots?
robots that hook him up to a thing, and then they blast yellow sun radiation into him to make him heal faster. Another cool detail is that the Fortress of Solitude spins, like it itself spins to get the best rays of sun on Superman. So that was cool. While this is happening, though, they make a point to say that Superman has a recording of his birth parents, Jor-El and Laura Vaughn, who are they sent this message with him when they sent him to Earth, and he listens to it because it comforts him during. I guess they do this a lot.
I mean, it did kind of seem like when he was recharging, when the sun first hits him, it's a little painful.
Yeah, well, I think he is very close to death, according to the scans.
The healing in triple time.
Yes. So then he goes back out to fight the Hammer of Boravia, whatever. The Hammer of Boravia is from this country called Boravia, which is an ally of the United States and a neighboring country of Jarhanpur. And in the text at the beginning, we learn that Superman stopped an invasion between Baravia and Jarhanpur. So political tensions are high because he did this. And apparently this Hammer of Baravia is coming because he stopped it and he wants to kill Superman so that they can invade him again. Once again, kind of really beats up Superman to the point where Superman can't get up after a while. The citizens try to help him up.
Yeah, he
Doesn't really
like
work.
crashes and creates a crater in the middle of the street. This though, there's this one guy who specifically helps him up, who like knows Superman, I guess, sees him on the street enough,
Yep.
and we see him again later. But this guy, amazing. He is what we should all strive to be in life.
This random dude.
Yes.
I can't remember his name.
What he says later just like hit me. It's like 2 lines, but I
I was going to say, you'll have to remind me when we get there because I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, it's okay. Also, it was pointed out that Superman didn't heal up all the way.
That is true.
So like
They did preface that.
he went back out to fight and his robots were like, "But you're only at like 80%."
Mhm.
He's like, "You got to go. Save the world."
The other thing that they show a bunch during this action sequence is that Lex Luthor in his little Luthor Corp building, is kind of barking out orders. Seems like different moves are established.
Yeah, almost like
As
video
games.
game style, like
Yeah.
A13. And then he's got all these guys lined up on computers. They're like, "Yeah, A13."
And then they do it, and then the Hammer does it. So now we as the audience are kind of aware that Luthor is at the very least working with the Hammer of Baravia and giving him instructions, because it's been established as well that Lex Luthor has been watching Superman fight for a very long time, that he kind of picks up on his fighting movements and is able to counter them. So I think this fight sequence is really good. I really like the combat in this movie.
Yeah, I also think a lot of the shots in the combat were so good. Some specific ones where they did like one-shot takes were so great, but not even that. There were very specific camera movement choices that I thought were great, and you can tell thought was put into it.
The camera is such a fluid piece of I don't know what I'm trying to say, but the camera's so fluid in this movie.
But not like in a bad way.
No, not in a bad way. It's like always moving, and it works. I think it just helps further establish that like Superman flies in a lot of this movie, and you kind of feel like you're flying too with the way that the camera's moving and stuff like that. So that's cool. So the Hammer leaves when Superman can't get up. And then he kind of flies back to this
Like Cam?
camp where he walks into this thing that transports him to this other place.
Yeah, it looks kind of like a portal.
Yeah, where he walks through this other portal.
And then suddenly he's up in the tower.
Up
with
in
Lex.
the tower. And he takes off his helmet, and everyone says, Ultraman is here. So the Hammer of Baravia is actually Ultraman in disguise.
Which is this thing Lex has created that's apparently stronger than Superman.
So this is interesting because those of us who read the comics know that Ultraman is an alternate universe evil version of Superman. So everyone was kind of wondering like how we were doing Ultraman in the opening to the DCU, because no way in the first Superman movie we're doing multiverses already. So I guess this works for me, this creation of Lex Luthor. Like I think it's fine. I think it falls into the trap of superhero movies where the first movie specifically tends to have a villain that pretty much mimics the exact abilities of the superhero. And it kind of gets away with it a little bit because Lex is truly the main antagonist. So, like, it's not that big of an issue. But, I mean, also, it's hard with Superman because a lot of his enemies are just, like, counterparts of him because how do you fight? But there's a lot. I think it's still the right choice because there's honestly not. Like, there's other other villains that he could fight, but in the first movie of a Superman movie, like, I don't know if it would work.
Yeah.
So hopefully we see some of them later, but
yeah, so he's down for the count and he gets Crypto to again bring him back to the Fortress of Solitude, right?
Nope. This wiki's out of order. Like, it's crazy out of order. It just kind of cuts here to him at the Daily Planet the next day.
Oh.
Is what happens here.
It's weird. Okay.
But I do want to say that when he is in Antarctica earlier in the movie, there is someone who kind of followed him there, the engineer who also works for Luthor.
Yeah, I didn't like her.
I also didn't like her.
I know that's the point, but like, I really, I didn't, I really,
I do you mean like her as a character?
I mean, I didn't both. Like, why was,
I thought when we first saw her, her acting was like crazy bad.
well, see, I was like, I didn't know if it was like part of her character because she's like sort of human, sort of like obviously been like worked on.
Huh?
She's like almost not like a robot, like a science experiment. So I was like, is this? I don't know. Maybe that was the bad acting part where that was confusing me with that. But then like later, just her blind following of Lex. I don't know.
Well,
He's just using her.
right. Because that's Lex Luthor for you. He uses a lot of people.
But yeah, she followed
Yep.
and saw
Sees the fortress of.
where it's at. Like they kind of knew it existed, they just didn't know where. But it disappears into the ground before she is able to like breach the
Mhm.
fortress.
Which is fine because they go back with Ultraman and Lex and the engineer. And while they're there, Lex kind of drops off this little monster who's really cute in Metropolis who lights a oil tanker on fire.
You're confusing me. Okay.
It's literally the next thing that happens in the movie,
I know, but I feel like there's an important thing we need to say about this. It's Lex, the engineer, and Ultraman that go to.
which I said.
Can you just let me? Which go to the Fortress of Solitude. And if you're not a Superman fan, you don't know, the Fortress of Solitude can only be opened by Superman.
In some iterations.
Okay.
In this one, it can, yes.
Yes, only by Superman's DNA. So you think that's pretty secure, but then they just kind of walk up to it and they get access. They just go right in.
Yep.
So that's interesting.
Uh-huh. Which at first made me really mad. I'm not going to lie.
Didn't you know where that was going though?
Yeah, and then I remembered where it was going, and then it was, oh yeah, that makes sense.
I was gonna say, as somebody who is again, I'm not super familiar with the Superman comics. I didn't know where it was going with that. I thought they brushed over it really quickly. So then I was like, well, I guess I don't know. Lex is it's obvious that he's making all these like technology advanced things. So maybe I don't know, he
Mhm.
figured it out or something. So that part. I see people saying it's very comic-y, and like if you're not super up with certain things, you might not pick up on things as quickly. But that was one of those moments, I think.
But something I think I've always kind of picked up on with James Gunn. James Gunn is a master because he also wrote this movie. He's a master at bringing things together in the end. Like Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I think, is like the best example of this, where there's so much crazy stuff that's going on in Guardians 2. But by the end of the movie, everything makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. Especially like when the main trailer for this movie came out, I remember watching it and thinking, how many superheroes are in this? Like
Mhm.
the trailer felt chaotic because they were introducing so many things for the first movie, but I didn't feel that way at all during the movie.
Yeah.
Like it all made sense.
Before we do this, we should probably talk about Lois because we're introduced to her and Clark in the Daily Planet.
Yes.
Um,
So after Clark gets decimated in the streets, we get to see him as Clark Kent, the reporter.
It's like the one scene of him as Clark Kent in this movie,
That's true. Yeah.
which is fine. It's very similar to like the Batman, where he's just the Batman throughout the whole movie. Like he's Bruce Wayne maybe once in the whole thing, and that's just what we're doing now. Like we don't need to see a bunch of Clark Kent, I think, especially when it's already been established that Lois knows who he is.
Yeah. That was a scene that we saw before we saw him at the Daily Planet.
What
Or
was
was
the
it
scene?
after? Him and Lois.
It's after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we see him at the Daily Planet. He's got his hypno glasses on.
Yep. We're introduced to the entire Daily Planet crew. Perry White, Cat Grant, I don't know the other guy, Jimmy Olsen, and Lois Lane.
Yep, the Daily Planet crew.
And Clark Kent has a paper on the front story or a story on the front page of the paper where he interviewed Superman after the fight. People think it's so cool that he interviews Superman.
Yeah, like
But-
how does he get access
Yeah.
to Superman?
Lois does not think it's very cool, where they go back and forth about how it's kind of weird that Superman only does interviews with you. And then at the end of the day, Lois gets home and Clark is in there and
Glasses.
yeah, not wearing glasses. And we learn it's their 3-month anniversary.
Yes. So Lois is aware that he is Clark Kent. I do kind of almost wish they would have, like, I don't know, even just hinted at like how she had found out, because I don't know, I feel like I did have the thought of like, I wonder how different she actually does see him
Mm.
when he's wearing those glasses. I just feel like it's not like the rules of the glasses aren't. Not that they're that important, but I was curious about how
Hmm.
they work.
Yeah, I guess. I didn't need that. But again, I've seen Lois find out Superman is Clark Kent so many times
That's fair.
that
I have not.
it's just, we all know it's going to happen. And I just like that we kind of skip it. I think 3 months is it's an interesting place to have them in their relationship, especially later when they start throwing around the word love. I'm like, it's been 3 months, guys.
I do think it's interesting that it's another three, because in the opening text sequence, everything was in like 3,000 years ago, 3 decades, 3 months, 3 days, whatever,
Yep.
3 hours, whatever. So this is another three.
Yeah, that's a good point. Three's such a perfect number to many. So they have this conversation where Lois kind of reveals that she wasn't really kidding with him in the Daily Planet. She is like, you need to stop interviewing yourself as Superman because people are gonna catch on.
And yeah, they're gonna start to question it.
So then he decides to give her
An
a
interview.
interview with Superman. This sequence, I think, is so good. It's so well written, and we saw a lot of it in the trailer, but not all of it. There are some cuts in the trailer that was kind of crazy, just because the trailer sequence is what feels like it feels fluid, but there's more stuff said in between all the stuff we see in the trailer. But I do think it's interesting that, because Lois makes a solid point, as does Superman, right? Superman's whole argument is that, like, he had to stop Baravia because people were going to die. But Lois's whole point is, like, hey, you can't really just do that.
Yeah, like who says it's your job to insert yourself into political arguments?
Mm-hmm. But I thought it was really good, the whole sequence, watching Superman, like, break character a bunch and be like, you can't use that, and Lois is like, yeah, I know, but like they're also having a real argument while doing this, because Lois is what journalism should be. Lois, there's so many points in this argument where Lois is like, yeah, I think that's what's happening, but I don't have proof, so I can't report it that way, which is the whole point of journalism, and it's why I love Lois Lane as a character, because she does journalism so well. Like, she's just such a great character.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of most journalists today.
Yeah. So I love that scene. And then ultimately they argue so much that Clark is like, I gotta go. Lois is like, every time something complicated happens, you run away. Which, again, is just a funny line considering he just runs towards danger 90% of the time. And then she's like, I knew this wouldn't work. And he's like, what do you mean by that? She's like, I don't know, Clark. And then he just leaves awkwardly, which was, again, funny. So I just think that scene serves a great example of, like, the chemistry they have, because I think they have good chemistry. And now's probably the time to talk about the actors, too,
Oh yeah.
because we haven't done that yet. So Superman is David Corn Sweat, who I haven't seen him star in anything. He's in Twisters, but kind of as the villain character, like the antagonistic character. And they announced him for this, and I was like, interesting, because I know nothing about him.
I mean, looks wise, totally fits the bill.
Yeah, he works.
1,000. Acting wise, I thought he did pretty great.
He was pretty
I
good.
have no issues with his acting.
He was good. I think he nailed it. Like, I think he and his writing nailed it. Like, so many often say you as an actor can only do as much as your writing allows, but I think his writing allowed him to shine here, like, multiple times. So I think he's a slam dunk. I'm excited to see him do other things in this universe.
Yeah.
We obviously don't know where we're going with this universe. Everything announced so far is, like, single character projects.
Yeah, and I don't know how much Superman recording he'll be doing anytime soon, because he just recently buzzed his head.
Yeah, what did he do that for?
I don't know. It's got to be another part.
I would assume, yeah. So yeah, he was good. And then Rachel Brosnahan as Lois, again, I also really like. For me personally, the best the best Lois, like my favorite Lois going into this movie is Bitsy Tolik's Lois from Superman and Lois. I'm not sure that Lois did enough in this movie for me to like bump her up. I like again, I think she kills it here, Rachel Brosnahan. I kind of talked about it after the movie, but I really like when Lois has an arc that also ties into whatever Superman is doing. Like, I think that's interesting. It's not something we got in, like, Man of Steel, really. So, like, she has stuff to do in this movie. She doesn't feel like a wasted character.
But it wasn't like a driving plot line,
Yeah, it wasn't a driving plot line.
but still important.
Right. But yeah, I think the casting as a whole in this, like, whoever casted this movie deserves a raise, because
James Gunn.
everyone was good. It was not James Gunn. It was,
He was there
yeah, but like,
watching some interviews of his about this. And like for them picking their Superman and their Lois, they actually built like a whole set. I think that that interview argument was the scene that they were having them do for chemistry take, and they picked like their top three Supermans and their top three Lois is, and like had them like all work together on a set to figure it out. And this was also where, if you don't know, the actor that is Lex Luthor originally tried out for Superman, for the role of Superman, and James Gunn said that like while he was speaking, he just kept taking James Gunn kept taking his hand and like covering up his hair and just watching his face and him speaking, and he kept just thinking like, oh, this is, I don't think he's Superman, but he's definitely my Lex.
That's funny. The casting director was John Papsidera, so he deserves a ton of credit here too.
Yeah. Even all the like more side characters, I guess, like Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl, I still think were, and Green Lantern, I think we're all still good.
Yep, agree.
I know we haven't talked about them yet. Mr. Terrific, I knew nothing about this character, but I thought he was great. Like I really liked his character.
He's cooler than the Arrow version of him, I can tell you that much. But yeah, and then because you mentioned him, I do want to talk about Nicholas Hoult. Nicholas Hoult is our Lex Luthor here. Easily my favorite performance of the film, like by far. I thought he was fantastic.
He does play evil very convincingly.
Yeah, it's so much scary. Like
Pure evil hatred. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to him for really going for it and not wearing a bald cap and fully getting a skin shave.
What you do for roles. Okay, so we go back now to Ultraman, Engineer, and Lex Luthor not even breaking, they just walk into the Fortress of Solitude, where the Engineer kind of hacks the message of the parents, and
first, they destroy the robots.
Yeah, all the robots die.
How could they?
Yep. And then they also, Crypto kind of has a last stand, but it doesn't last long, as the nanites from the Engineer kind of cover his face, and he can't get them off.
They capture him.
And they take him away. So then
the Engineer uses her little nanite technology to get into the computer. And we mentioned earlier that when Superman is getting his recharging in, he likes to watch this small video clip that was sent with him from his parents. And it is explained then that it kind of cuts out. Like, we don't hear the full message. But the message that they do tell him is that they're sending him there basically to help the people of Earth.
The non-cut part?
Yeah, the original
yeah.
that we see. He's sent there to help the people of Earth. But once they break in, somehow with her nanites, she's able to recover the rest of the message, assuming it's the entire message. But it basically says that they're sending him there because the people of Earth would be easy for him to dominate and rule them basically like a god.
What did you think of this?
Which, like, the message itself? I am curious if there's, like, if that was the full message. Like, I knew nothing about his parents, so I remember I remember when we first saw the video clip thinking, is that Bradley Cooper?
It was Bradley.
But like something about it, I don't know if it's because it was like a video, supposed to be like a video that was like a little damaged or something. I was like, it almost looked like an AI version of Bradley Cooper.
I honestly forgot he was in the movie. I read he was in it forever ago, but he has such a minor part. Yeah, this message, I guess, is a lot of people are up in arms about it. doesn't really, I don't care about this message at all. For me, while yes, Lex tells the ruler of Baravia that like that was a legit part in private, so like sure, I guess that tells you that it's 100% real. You're right. Like there could have been more. There could have been a explanation as to like what they really mean. It could just mean that. Additionally, I don't buy for a second that 28 linguists were able to decipher what exactly they're actually saying.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. There's even like, I feel like nowadays that we still don't
Right.
means.
So I don't. I know a lot of people are taking this very literally and are thinking that like, yeah, they're Jor-El and Laura are like they're like bad guys.
I mean,
I just like don't. I don't. I don't know if it matters. And B, I don't care.
what my thought process was whether this part of this was doctored, we didn't get the whole message, or like they meant something else or something. Regardless of that, I was thinking there's more to this story somehow. Like this isn't it. Like he wasn't, or even if he was sent there to do that. Like I have heard there are iterations of the comics where they are not the greatest people. I think the whole purpose was just for Superman's personal journey in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
For like the thing he thinks his entire life was meant for, his entire purpose to be shattered.
Mm-hmm.
That was the purpose of
Yep,
this.
that's exactly it. Also, Mr. Terrific does not say that it is legit. He says that he knows the people that looked at it and they would have no reason to lie.
Right.
But like if Lex Luthor handed me $1 billion and said, "Hey, say that this is legit," I'd be like, "All right, it's legit."
Mm-hmm.
Like there. So
Or I feel like Lex Luthor is obviously tech savvy enough to make it seem legit.
while this is going on, Lex Luthor does release to be a distraction so that Superman doesn't come back to the Fortress of Solitude. He releases this little monster. Like this.
Looks like a little tiny Pokemon
Yeah, I kept thinking an axolotl mixed with something else.
version. It's like maybe like knee height or something, little dinosaur guy. And he has his guys release him just in the city on some side street or something, and we see him he can shoot fire, and one of the guys that's helping release him makes a comment like this is the distraction or something, like because it just seems like a little guy that this is what's going to distract Superman. But then we learn
And then it cuts to him being ginormous,
the size of buildings.
a kaiju.
They don't really say how he grows so fast,
It doesn't matter.
but yeah, he exponentially has grown in a matter of hours.
So again, Superman shows up. He saves so many people. He saves a dog. He saves a squirrel. He saves an elderly woman. He saves a child. He saves all the people.
I have one hang up about this is there's a scene, it's in the trailer where he saves this little girl and from like these like giant tube things like crushing her because of the
I think
monster.
they're gas canisters.
Okay. Well, that scene, I remember thinking in the trailer that it was so cool, like the way it slow-mos and is shot, like it's so cool. And I remember thinking before we saw the movie, I was like, I really hope that's not the best saving scene, and I think it was. And I don't like when they include the best scenes in the trailers.
What do you mean, best saving scene?
Like best like shot scene of him saving somebody.
Yeah, because they're all in this. Every save is in the trailer. Every save
The
in this
squirrel
movie,
isn't.
it's a squirrel.
That was like the only one really that surprised me.
Yeah, okay. I don't think it, because what the trailer's purpose is to get you to come see the movie, and that shot is going to get me to come see the movie.
I know, but then I would have liked more. I don't know.
Because for me, it happened in the movie, and I went, there it is, and then I
That's
had
true.
this stupid smile on my face the whole time. But again, I think it's super well shot.
Yeah, like crazy. And I think it also, like, I think there's a lot of things with this where James Gunn really did his research for Superman. And, like, there's definitely little things that he took from, like, different iterations, which I know makes some people mad, but some people happy, but whatever. But I think even with this, like, there's one scene where he's fighting this monster and the monster, like, goes down on him, but then Superman, like, digs his way out from under the monster and just pops up somewhere else from underground, and like that was a nod to one of the iterations. So I just feel like it was well thought out
Mm-hmm.
and how to show different parts of the Superman that people know to be this Superman.
Yep. Again, it just comes back to it's just very comic booky.
But not even
Does
just
cool
comic
things.
booky. Like a lot of what James Gunn added in was from the TV show Smallville.
Hmm.
It was like one of his favorite TV shows. That's also why he chose to go with Luthor Corp instead of LexCorp.
Hmm.
So that's where that comes from. But I just think it was a good way to show different parts of Superman in one version.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good Superman. So during this fight, this is when we get the Justice Gang of Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, and Hawkgirl.
Not an official title.
Not the official title. This Green Lantern is Guy Gardner Green Lantern, not Hal Jordan Green Lantern. Nathan Fillion does Guy Gardner so well.
Yeah, he does. Just even how he looks.
The
Like
people online that are like, oh, I hate this Green Lantern. And I'm like, yeah,
that's
that's
kind
the
of the
point.
point.
I hate Guy Gardner.
But like that's to be able to do that means you're doing a good job.
I hate. I think that the worst character out of these three is Hawkgirl. Like, she easily has the least.
I feel like she's just the only one where we don't really learn much else
Yeah,
about
like,
her.
I don't even know what her personality is. Like,
Yeah,
it's just.
she kind of just comes off as like she doesn't really
I
care.
mean, she's bloodthirsty, but she's Hawkgirl, so that makes sense.
I do hope they kind of tell us a little more about her because again, I'm not as familiar with Superman related characters, so I have no idea like where she's from or anything.
I'm sure she'll pop up again, but the three of them kill the kaiju, much to Superman's dismay, because he wanted to save the kaiju. And then while they're all celebrating, breaking news releases revealing that Superman has been
Sent to
sent
Earth.
to take everyone over.
And Superman's like in the middle of a crowded street, just defeated this monster, and so now all these people are turning and looking at him like,
Yeah,
what?
public opinion turns real fast on him. Yeah, and then he has a talk basically with the Justice Gang inside behind closed doors where they're like, were you sent here to roll
Mhm.
over us? And he's like, no, of course not. Like, I didn't know the second half of the message. Like, I only knew the first half. And then he realizes that the only way anyone would even get that is if they broke into the Hall of Justice. So then he goes over there, has a scene where he says goodbye to Four,
Not the Hall of Justice.
the Fortress of Solitude.
Yes,
Sorry, says goodbye to Four.
which is one of the robots.
Yeah, and then realizes that Crypto is also missing. So then he flies to Luthor Corp and has a freak out on Lex Luthor because he knows he took the dog, even though Lex denies it, which then further sours his image.
Yeah, and then we've already been introduced to her, but Lex has his this girlfriend who's just constantly on her phone, and so she kind of films the interaction between Superman and Lex, and again, it's not painting him in the best light.
I don't love what they did to Eve Tessmacher here in this movie.
I knew nothing about her, but I mean, I think she served her
I
purpose.
was like, no way, that's Eve Tessmacher, and then it was, so that's disappointing. But she's has an important role, so it's fine. And then Superman goes and talks with Lois again, where he kind of reveals that he truly didn't know what the message meant, and Lois is like, I believe you. And Superman says, I love you to her for the first time, so that's crazy. 3 months in. And then he decides he's going to give himself up to the U.S. government.
So he thinks it's the right thing to do,
Yep,
and that they'll get it cleared up.
yep.
But the U.S. government has struck a deal with Lex Luthor because Lex Luthor is the only one that has the technology that could control Superman, and so they just offer him up to him.
So now they're in this alternate portal dimension,
What's it called? A pocket
pocket
universe.
dimension.
So the portal kind of opens into this weird dimension where you see like for anybody that plays Minecraft, it's essentially like the Nether. Things are like just like half built in weird texture, and then there's these other portals that will lead you back out into real life. But this is kind of where Lex hides all his secrets.
And all his ex-girlfriends.
Secrets. Anything Lex doesn't want to deal with or have people know about, he just puts them in this little pocket universe. And it sounds a little weird and like extreme, but the way it was like introduced and described and everything, like none of it was unbelievable to me. Like just having this entire like pocket universe. Also in this universe, well, we learned earlier that Superman has a lot of trolls online and he gets real mad about some of the things they say about him. It's kind of funny. But we learned that Lex has tamed these monkeys, like hundreds of them, and trained them to just make terrible meme posts about Superman all day long.
So many mean posts.
It's a nod to like bots on the internet. This guy I think is kind of funny.
Uh,
He also, in this pocket universe, has this almost looks like a clear glass square prison where all these people he doesn't like or he's saving for a rainy day to do something with. He puts them in a little glass square and stacks them all up together. All his ex-girlfriends, everybody. And he's got a special little place for Superman there.
Next to this guy that can create elements. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, like his whole body is made up of different.
Yeah, our as comic readers know him as Metamorpho, and James Gunn. Lex Luthor uses him to make kryptonite to render Superman basically powerless, and he's sitting in the same prison cell as Superman, so Lex can show up numerous times and taunt him. And he does. He shows up with the guy that helped Superman up earlier, the guy that you said you love.
Yeah. And I was trying to think of what he wanted Superman to do. What was he trying to?
He wouldn't know who he was working with.
Really?
Yeah. Like, he basically was just like, who sent you?
Well, okay, that's right. Yes. So, like, stemming back from the video, I guess, and his original hatred for Superman, anyways, he's convinced that Superman knows who sent him and his real purpose for being there. Doesn't realize that Superman knows nothing about that. So he brings this guy because he knows that Superman knows him and Superman doesn't like for innocent people to die and everything. And so he pulls out a gun and Russian roulette style puts one bullet in, cranks it up, points it at this man and tells Superman, if you don't tell me, I'm gonna shoot him. To which, Superman, he's in pain and agony right now from the kryptonite, so like he can't really move anyways. He's just kind of laying on the floor. But he's like, tell me who he is. And Superman's like, I can't, I don't know. And so then he shoots once, but there's no bullet there, so it's a blank. So we go again. Tell me who he is. And then this is what I meant with this guy. He literally, the guy who Superman knows, who's like has the gun pointed at him. He's like, it's okay, Superman, don't tell him. I don't have any family, nobody's going to miss me. Like, it's okay if I die. And like this man, he was just so ready. Like he's like knew how important Superman was and how unimportant he was in comparison that he was just ready to give it all up. And unfortunately, this round of Russian roulette had the bullet though, so he is shot. He dies.
Would you like my maybe potentially maniacal take on this scene?
Yes.
It should have been longer.
Yeah, I mean, even Lex Luthor makes the comment where he's like, oh, that ended sooner than I thought it would.
Yeah, it should have been longer. Because he just got shot, and I was like,
Yeah, I think it would have put more emphasis on like what he was saying to Superman, because like I picked it up, but you didn't pick it up first.
I did pick up on that. It just didn't hit me as hard. I did hear what he said when he was like, don't worry, I got no family. And I was like, oh, that's sad.
But like his dedication to the greater good.
Yeah, but it should have been longer. I think it would have been good at raising the tension a little bit more.
He kind of implies though that he'll be back with somebody else that Superman cares about and they'll try again.
And I don't know if he implies it more so than just saying, I will be back. Like that reporter that always interviews you.
Oh, that's right. He did say that. Yeah.
And then Metamorpho is just so shocked by this murder.
This was like the one. I don't know. I don't know if it's like the first time maybe where I have a little, not a huge issue with, but like after Lex leaves with the guy's dead body and we're just back in the cell with Superman and Metamorpho. Metamorpho was sobbing. He's like, oh my god, they just shot. Like, it just seemed a little over exaggerated. Also, we didn't mention, but to keep Metamorpho in line and making this kryptonite, the cell across the way has Metamorpho's son in it with the guard. And it's like baby son.
Yep.
And so basically he's like, if you don't do this, your son's gonna die. Yeah.
Metamorpho is played by Anthony Carrigan, who I normally really enjoy. But
did you think that scene was a little off?
Yeah, I don't think this was his best work.
I mean, I feel like later on stuff with Metamorpho is like fine. Like you kind of see his personality a little bit, but like just that one thing, like I don't know.
I love how you say that like he's in all the other scenes.
I mean,
He's in like 2 scenes
yeah, but we get a little bit of personality.
at the end, I would say.
Yeah, I don't know.
He makes one joke.
But
Also worth mentioning that while Superman is being taken to his cell, he does see crypto is being experimented on.
yes, they do have crypto. He is up in a little bubble, watching super squirrels and chasing them continuously forever.
Yep.
Probably being monitored so they can do tests on him or something.
Yep.
But seeing this man shot, I guess, really moved Metamorpho, and Superman convinces him to stop making the kryptonite. So Metamorpho does, and he does make a comment here where, because when Superman is being basically poisoned by the presence of the kryptonite, like his face is turning like with black lines and like getting like almost like wrinkly and gross looking, sort of, just from a distance. And then like if he were to touch the kryptonite, it would like burn him. So once Metamorpho stops making the kryptonite, instantly Superman's still struggling, obviously. And Metamorpho's like, why does your face still look like that? And I was thinking, I was like, have you seen your face? Like, this man is literally just like made of clusters of elements. What?
Really pulled that. Yeah, back at you, buddy. Meanwhile, Lois is at the Hall of Justice. First reveal. I honestly wasn't expecting that immediately in this movie. Like, I thought we'd build up to that. But here it is. We have it. She's trying to convince Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, and Mr. Terrific to help find Superman.
She also has like started to sort of piece together that Luthor Corp is like behind the wars and everything.
I also really liked this scene where Guy Gardner was like, are you saying you know who he is?
Yes.
And Lois is like, yes, but you probably shouldn't be saying stuff like this in case I didn't know who he is. And he's like, so you know he's Clark Kent?
Uh-huh. Yep.
That was James Gunn humor that worked, because there's going to be another thing coming very quickly that was James Gunn humor that didn't work for me. But it's probably the only moment where it didn't work for me. I think all the other jokes landed. I can talk about this later, but
yeah, no, but that was funny and very much like plays into that character's personality.
yep. She ultimately doesn't succeed. Guy and Hawkgirl say no, but Mr. Terrific does come with her solely to help look for him.
Yes. I also think at this point, Mr. Terrific has realized that there's like, or he's thinking that there's, or he's, this, Lois learns about the Pocket Universe from work, right? Somebody at work. Yeah. What's
Oh, yeah, because Jimmy.
from Jimmy?
Yep.
Just that it's like a rumor that that's where Superman's being kept. So she takes that knowledge to these guys to be like, help me find him. And I think Mr. Terrific is intrigued by that because he knows that's a bad thing. And he's probably one of the only people with comparative technology to maybe help it fix that.
Yep. So they use this T-Mobile.
Is this the scene?
Yes, with the small, like the slowest, like it's a classic joke.
Yeah,
I've just seen it in like every piece of media ever that I was just like, where we stand at a garage door that opens and takes like 20 minutes to do so as the two just stare at it.
And it's just kind of awkward.
Yeah, I feel like everyone, like I heard laughs around the theater, but I was just like, it just brings the entire plot to like a complete halt for like no reason, like none.
I get the point of it because like then she obviously points out like this door's so slow, but you have like
that was funny. That made me laugh.
A super rocket ship inside. I do think maybe it was just slightly too long. Like I think they could have made it shorter, but still had the purpose of it.
I wonder how much of that was improv. I wonder if he was just like, hey, while this is opening, the two of you just like talk.
Like I'm going for this awkwardness, so you guys just figure that out. But the door eventually opens, and they get inside his rocket car thing. And this is also, maybe before this, we learn that he has implanted his little, what are they called? Tektites or whatever?
T something. All the stuff start with T.
Yeah, something like Tektites or something in the blood of all of his friends so that he can track their location.
Yeah, so he knows where Superman went.
Yes, and he can see where he went and that the signal stopped there, which is where Superman went through that portal into the Pocket Universe. So they're headed to that location. And then this is maybe one of my favorite fight scenes of the entire movie.
I do think it is probably the best.
Yeah. They arrive at this little beach camp area, which I feel like earlier it's referenced that this is some old military place that is dormant or shut down or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never explained. Like, obviously, this is like Lex Luthor's little camp area or something where he keeps one of his portals. But it's never explained why half the people here are wearing Hawaiian shirts. I didn't know if this was like a comic thing that I just wasn't aware of.
Nope.
Like, it's not like everybody's like, looks like they're in the military and like, whatever. Like, half of them are like these robot things. Raptors? What are they called?
Yeah, the Raptors.
They're raptors. Half of them are like little raptors, which are like military machine people. But the other half are just like, look like everyday people wearing Hawaiian shirts and they're like playing this music all over the camp that's like upbeat. It's just very strange. It's never addressed why.
It doesn't need to be. Again, if I got paid $1 billion to work on a Lex Luthor project, I too would be wearing a Hawaiian shirt.
I know.
This is like basically retirement for them.
I know. It was just very, very strange feeling. Maybe that was the purpose, to make it seem a little off. But they get there, come out of the ship, and Mr. Terrific, honestly, I was never had heard of him, so I didn't know what to expect, but he was great. Just his entire personality, like, he does not care. He's here to do what he wants to do. If you get in his way, he's gonna move you out of his way.
Would you say he's terrific?
Wow, you really landed that one, James Gunn. But this fight scene was so good. It has the random music that they're playing is now like increased in volume to be like the focus during this fight, but also the camera work during this fight. I think this was a one shot.
It
At
was
least part of it. Yeah,
the
and
whole thing.
Okay, it was done so well. And as soon as they're walking towards where the portal is, but they're not there yet, and as soon as all these people are like, "Hey, you gotta stop! You're not supposed to be here," and Mr. Terrific, he don't care. He just keeps going. And then once it reaches the point where like they're actually gonna use force to stop them, Mr. Terrific like uses one of his little drone things to like make a shield over Lois. And then this is where the music ramps up and we get this one shot take of him fighting. But it's from Lois's perspective inside of this little shield protecting her. And it's genius.
Yep, it's so good. It's so well shot. I have nothing to add. Like, it's just so good.
Yeah, it also felt very James Gunn though. Like, it reminded me of like Guardians of the Galaxy when he would put on his song and then they'd go into like a little fight montage.
Well, the end of the third movie has a really good one shot where all of the Guardians are beating up the scientists.
It was very reminiscent of that, but very good.
Yeah. Stellar one shot. I'm a one shot fanatic. So so they find the portal, they activate it, and they go in. They realize there's like this proton river that will kill everyone if they fall into it.
But not Superman.
But not Superman. Or I guess, did the baby never touch the river?
He had him held up.
See, I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah, it was very unbelievable.
Because I kept waiting, like just the way it was shot again, like you couldn't really tell where the baby was in some of the shots, so I was like, okay.
But then when they did show it, like it was obviously he was making a point.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't like hugging it to him.
Yeah, but like man was pretty submerged at one point. I was like, okay. What we're referencing is that Metamorpho uses the elements to kind of create a mini sun, which then brings Superman back to 100% power, breaks out of the glass, flies over to little Joey's prison, punches the guy holding it.
Son is named
Joey, yeah. And then goes and frees Crypto, who then tackles him to the ground with excitement.
Of course.
Yep. And then again, there's this scene where they're all trying to escape, including Metamorpho, who can fly, but cannot hold the baby.
Because he flies by changing form.
Into gaseous form.
Yes, and if he were holding the baby would just fall.
Yep. So Superman does kind of end up falling into this river that will kill everything, except, of course, for him. So he's trying to hold the baby up while also drowning in the river.
And then The when he made the sun, it was so bright that it alerted them, the like Lex and everybody, that they were trying to break out. So now we also have people chasing them
Right, of course. So, like, there's a fight scene while he's drowning in this river
and holding a baby.
and holding a baby. And then to make things even more complicated, there's a black hole at the end of the river.
Yes, that's bad news. You go in there, you don't come back, apparently.
So he whistles for Crypto, who one of the T-spheres finds that Mr. Terrific sent out. And Crypto gets distracted by the T-sphere and chases after it and destroys it completely.
Which was also very funny.
It's funny, but it's also important because it comes back later. But then Crypto comes and he's trying to help. And then Metamorpho comes and he's trying to help. And everyone's trying to help them avoid the black hole.
But the power of the black hole is just like sucking them.
Yeah, it's too much, but it's not too much for his super breath.
Yeah.
When I tell you, I was so excited for this shot of it's from behind because he blows into the black hole. Not sure scientifically how this would work, I'm going to be totally honest with you, but he blows into the black hole and it propels him backwards, but the shot is slow-mo from behind. And you see like Crypto there, and you see Metamorpho trying to hold on. It's so good. And the music is just kind of blasting, like the Superman theme. It was
good.
And he blows himself backwards, grabs onto Crypto, grabs onto Metamorpho, and they all get free. And then follow the T-sphere.
Yeah, up to where the portal is. But that portal is getting a little crazy.
It's been open for too long, Mr. Terrific says.
Which could create a split in reality in time.
Because, of course.
That's what happens when you mess with dimensional time, I suppose.
Yep. But Mr. Terrific is able to turn it off for the time being as Superman is sick with kryptonite poisoning. So Lois takes him somewhere he can rest.
Because he needs a couple days.
The Kent household, as Metamorpho walks away with his baby.
I also thought that was weird. He
Into
just
the
kind of like
darkness.
walked into the woods and was looking back at them, and I was like, are you gonna say something? What?
No, he's just gonna walk into the darkness. So then Lois meets Ma and Pop Kent, who we've only seen one other time in this movie.
But they're great.
I love them.
They are very your Kansas country down home type of people.
Yep. Yeah, I mean it's very clear they care for Clark. They love him. And while all of this is going on, mind you, Lex Luthor is having a serious breakdown that Superman escaped.
Meltdown.
Yep. So much so that he tells Eve Tessmacher, who provided information to Jimmy about the portal dimension, to get out of his office. And then this causes Eve to get really upset that she calls Jimmy and wants to hook up with him.
But Jimmy, he's not really feeling that, but he wants her to be on his side so he can get more information from her.
But she is like, I have everything you need to take Lex down. And he's like, okay, send it to me. And she's like, only if you promise to hang out with me just all weekend. But she's caught by Ultraman and Lex, who sends her into the jail cell that we all just escaped from. But before she's caught, she does send him, Jimmy, pictures of herself.
Yeah, a large file just full of selfies. At first, Jimmy's like, come on, Eve. Of course.
But when Jimmy sends everything to Lois while she's at the Kent household, Lois realizes that all of these pictures contain something in the background that incriminates Lex and his role in the scheme, including making this country that Barovia is trying to invade New Barovia, and then like Luthorvia or something like that.
Yeah.
So he wants stake in this land. So she hurries back to the Daily Planet to kind of tell everyone what's going on. Meanwhile, Superman wakes up a couple days later. Not really implied it's a couple days, but Pa Kent does say you've been out for a while.
Yeah.
Crypto's on his chest, wagging his little tail.
That was so cute. That scene was so cute. And then Crypto meeting the cows. So cute.
The other thing I want to say here is just like symbolism, where earlier on in the movie, when he heals himself with Sun, and we already discussed that he's screaming the whole time listening to like his birth parents recording. Here, he peacefully awakes with the Sun coming in and hitting him, and it's like his childhood house.
Yeah.
Which is a nice, it's a nice difference to show. And then it will come back again at the end of the movie. But yeah, so he has a lovely talk with Pa Kent as he's discussing how, like, he doesn't really know who he is right now because the whole reason he thought he was sent here was a lie. Pa Kent is like, nah, your choices, your actions, that's what makes you
I
you.
know. This scene. You are the choices you make.
And he's so proud of him as
Yeah.
he's like breaking down. Then they have this like kind of awkward hug. It's a little awkward. But Ma Kent has to interrupt.
They might want to see what's on the box.
Yeah, because Baravia is once again attempting to invade, I just said it, Jurinthanpor.
I'm not even going to attempt. It'll just sound bad.
Yep. The other country again.
We also, between now and then, have learned that there is a portal connecting the leader of Baravia
Uh-huh.
to Lex.
Yep.
And he's basically just Lex's pawn.
Yep. He doesn't think he's working for Lex, but he is, let's be real.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Lex doesn't want Superman interfering again with the invasion, so he prompts everyone to pull the portal back up. That everyone's like, well, that'll create a black hole and tear apart reality itself. And he's like, I don't care. And then he does it. And Mr. Terrific is pissed.
Yep.
So Mr. Terrific calls Superman and is like, I need you in Metropolis. But Superman's like, well, I gotta go to Baravia. And Mr. Terrific is like, there will not be a Baravia. There will not be a Metropolis. There will not be a Kent Farm. There will not be a world if you do not come to Metropolis.
Yep.
So Superman has to make a decision, and he goes to Metropolis. And then we have this awesome scene where it's in the trailers, but this child in Jurinthanpor raises a little flag,
Oh yeah, this one's really great.
and everyone starts chanting Superman. But while he's raising the flag, there's shots of, you see like the other characters in the movie like watching the TV. Like you see Metamorpho, you see the Daily Planet, you see Hawk Girl, But we know he can't go there. He has to go to Metropolis.
As much as he wants to.
But you know who can? His friends.
The Justice Gang.
So Green Lantern, Metamorpho, and Hawkgirl show up to stop the Baratheon invasion in lieu of Superman's absence.
This scene was also quite funny.
I laughed out loud when I realized that his green hands punching out of the ground were middle fingers. It was so funny.
I did feel a little sad for that kid though, because he really wanted Superman to
Yeah, he
come.
really wanted Superman.
And Green Lantern guy, he was basically like, "Sorry, kid, Superman's busy. You got you got something better."
Yeah, you got the upgrade, which, oh God, I hate Greg Gardner. Anyway, it's worth noting, because it's not really touched upon at all, that Hawkgirl absolutely kills the leader of Baravia. She drops him from very high up.
Yeah.
No one mentions it. It just kind of happens.
Yeah.
But that was the thing that occurred. So then we jump back to Superman and Mr. Terrific trying to stop this black hole.
Yeah, so at this point, the black hole is basically like causing a split, and like the Earth, which time in reality is pulling apart and creating literally a physical like split through the city. Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out how to stop it, but they're interrupted by the engineer and Ultraman,
Of course.
who basically drop them both in this like baseball field, and that does knock Mr. Terrific out. And then Superman has to fight both Ultraman and the engineer together. It doesn't really go well. The engineer manages to tire him out enough to insert a ton of nanites into his body and his lungs.
This scene, just the thought. Basically, they're trying to suffocate him.
Yep, that's exactly what they're doing.
I really didn't know what he's gonna do to get out of it. And what he did do, I think, was actually kind of clever. He just shoots off into space, straight up, fast as possible. And you do kind of see some of her nanites, like, coming off a little bit with the friction of him flying so fast. But he makes it all the way up to, like, the stratosphere of space. And I have one hang up about this. Like, I know that the engineer and Ultraman are like also obviously modified people, but like as soon as they were up there, I was expecting them not to be able to breathe, but like they weren't affected at all.
I mean, it's a comic book.
Yeah, I know.
It's a comic book land. If we're being honest, they would have all lit up upon entry into the Earth's atmosphere on the way back down.
Fair.
But that also didn't happen because it's a comic book.
All right. Well, anyways, and then how does he get them out?
Well, he just falls back down.
Oh, that's right.
And then it becomes clear that, like, the engineer won't survive a fall from that height, and she's not protected.
Yeah, so like, but she can still breathe up there, whatever.
Yeah. And Ultraman can't also is not protected, but Superman is protected because he has all of the nanites protecting him at this point.
Yes.
Because in their
As
panic,
yeah, as he was flying up and they realized the friction was kind of causing some to fall off, Lex was like, "Put all your nanites on him. Like we need to suffocate him." But then plot twist, Superman just falls fast as possible to the earth, and he's got all them nanites.
yep. So then she tries to take all her nanites back. It's kind of unclear what happens because they hit the ground too fast. She survives
Barely.
barely. And Ultraman and Superman are okay. Superman gets up. He's a little weak as he pulls the nanites out of his
Yeah,
mouth.
because he had to cough them out of his lungs, and like, ugh, the way they looked, I didn't like that. I did not like that.
I was like, yo, that's gross.
That was making me cringe. I didn't like that. Which probably means it's good, but like, I didn't like it.
And then we have this final, basically, battle where Superman and Ultraman fight each other. It's revealed that Ultraman, who takes off his mask, is a clone of Superman,
Yeah.
which then makes everything fall into place.
Yeah, this is how they were able to get into the Fortress of Solitude.
Because he has his DNA.
And this is how he's able to beat Superman in fights, because he basically is Superman as well. Superman's just been fighting himself all this time.
Yep. So Lex has this amazing monologue where he's talking about how envious he is and all this crap. And then he's confident he's won. You can tell by the way Nick Holt plays him, where he is making Ultraman like hit A1 on him
A1.
over and over as he's just screaming, A1! A1! And then Superman realizes that there's these drones flying around, and that's how they're able to communicate with Ultraman and see what's going on. And he realizes that he knows someone that likes chasing drones. And he once again calls Crypto to chase around the drones and tear them apart. And as he does this, Luthor is realizing he's losing his eyes in the battlefield.
And he's mad.
Yeah, he's mad. The person next to me at this point leaned over and they were like, did they not account for the dog at all? To which my response was, they didn't know the dog existed. But then I was like, but they did have plenty of time for the dog for them to plan on the dog because they knew the dog existed because they did experiments on him. But then I was just thinking that maybe Superman getting out just wasn't part of the plan. Like, we know it wasn't the plan and they just didn't have time.
I mean, it kind of seemed like up until now, Crypto just kind of hung out at this Fortress of Solitude.
Right.
So, like, he was never, like, they weren't partners in crime. He wasn't always out there fighting with Superman. So I could see why they wouldn't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But, like, when they learned about the dog, did Lex just, like, not consider him in his final plan?
But, like, even when they learned about the dog, I feel like they still didn't know, like, that he would help Superman. They hadn't seen him really, like, fighting.
Until they fought him in the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, but they took him down real quick.
Yeah.
So maybe they had an issue.
Or, at the very least, they were prepared for him to fight Ultraman and not the drones around, because no one would know that he has an affinity for chasing after drones.
Yeah, or like it's a drone. Maybe they would think it could get away, and it probably could from a normal dog, just not a super dog.
Yeah, I guess. So now that they have no eyes, Ultraman is basically also blind, and Superman just starts beating him up. And he is able to kind of throw him into a bus, which is being pulled into a black hole. So yeah. Ultraman then enters a black hole. It's kind of unclear if this equates to death or not. We don't really know.
Yeah, he's definitely gone for now. That problem has been taken care of. But it's a superhero movie. Unless you see somebody die, did they really die?
I think I said it when we were leaving, but the greatest theory that I've seen so far has to be that he's not dead. Black hole had to be basically a portal to another dimension. And the device that's Lex was using to talk to Superman, like the speaker on his chest, is broken. So it's repeating phrases, but backwards. And then they were and then it could just repeat B0 as a move. So then this man learns to speak backwards and then also picks up the name Bizarro.
Yeah, okay, I hadn't seen that many details.
It was so detailed, and I was like, if they go this route, that would be so good.
I have seen people saying he could become.
Yeah, it was the inclusion of the number system.
Yeah.
That they were using all movie, where I was like, oh, well, that's actually genius. B0.
Like they did already establish that like this clone is like kind of stupid.
Yeah, he's so dumb.
He got the brawn, but he didn't get any brains when he was cloned. And Bizarro is kind of dumb,
Yeah.
so that made sense.
The Superman and Lois Bizarro plot point is so good. Like, if you want a good Bizarro story, watch Superman and Lois season 2. That's it. That's my plug.
But yeah, I definitely think that's probably what's going to happen. I don't know about the technicalities of all those details, but I think
Yeah,
he will be Bizarro, and we'll see him again someday.
that would be cool. So then Mr. Terrific and Superman fly into the Luthor Corp headquarters. Meanwhile, Lois and Jimmy have given a whole pitch to Perry White about what's going on. Perry White tells them to write the article as they fly on there.
Mr. Terrific space car.
Yeah. So there's not really a fight here. They just, Superman is like, come on, Lex, put in the code. And then Mr. Terrific is like, I'll just hack the code. It's fine. And Lex is like, I don't trust you, you alien. And Superman's like, that's where you're wrong, Lex.
This is like the greatest monologue of the entire movie, I think. It was very touching for me.
Yep. He basically says that, he is a human. He loves, he gets scared, has all these emotions that humans do, and he wakes up every day, and sometimes he doesn't know what he wants to do or what he's going to do, but he gets up and he does stuff anyway to try to make the world a better place, and he makes mistakes, and that is what makes him human. And it just comes back to Lex and his relationship, where like Lex always views Superman as this scary alien that's not human, but at the end of the day, Superman has always been more of a human than Lex Luthor has in any iteration. And we see it throughout this whole thing. Lex Luthor doesn't care. He cares about himself. Like, he murdered that guy. He is more of a monster in this movie than Superman is.
Yeah. If
And
anything, I think he's jealous of Superman's powers.
yeah, and if we go back to the DC Universe Phase 1 called Gods and Monsters, this is the perfect opening movie because you have Superman, who's essentially a god, facing off against arguably the biggest monster of them all,
Yeah.
Lex Luthor.
And the monster is a human.
Genius. James Gunn for the win. So meanwhile, the Justice Gang back at Bravia is being celebrated. Hawkgirl kind of extends an invite to Metamorpho, but Green Lantern is like, nah. And then Metamorpho's like, the Justice Gang? That's kind of cool, which goes back to this joke where like no one has liked the name except for Green Lantern. So when Metamorpho likes the name, Green Lantern is like, you're hired.
That was funny.
And then they arrest Luthor, jumping back now, sorry, got a little sidetracked. Lex Luthor does have a response for Superman's inspiring monologue, but we don't really get to hear it because it's interrupted by Krypto, who just starts mauling him.
Smashes right into him, starts throwing him left to right, and yeah.
Yeah, and then everything kind of wraps up. Luthor gets arrested. They free everyone that's stuck in that pocket dimension. Mr. Terrific does turn off the black hole, so everything kind of goes back to normal as it can. Superman promises to give Lois Lane an interview, but they just make out the whole time. And Perry White is like, how long have they been hooking up?
Yep. Welcome. Where you been? You got a lot to say.
And then it kind of cuts again to when Lois tells Superman that she loves him as well.
Yes.
To which I said, dang, 3 months. That's.
I mean, at this point, I think the events that have happened, it's one of those make you realize what's really important type of thing.
For sure. And then we get our little tease for the next movie, not a post-credits scene. That's fun.
Just the final scene.
Superman is getting ready to recover from his injuries again. And Kara Zor-El, played by Millie Alcock, flies through the ceiling. And she's clearly, like, drunk. And she's like, where's the door? And he's like, it's where it's always been. And she's like, where's my dog? And Krypto's like, what? And then Krypto goes and beats her up.
She loves it.
But she loves it. Because Krypto actually is Kara's dog that Superman has just been watching this whole time.
Yeah, I'm really excited for her as Supergirl. I know some people, I mean, I guess the same with Superman. People have their favorites, but I think she's going to do a really good job.
Yeah. I'm excited for a movie based on what I've heard about it so far. It's going to be like wildly different than this one, I think, which is just fun.
Yeah.
And then to relax again during the healing process, he asks the robots to play the footage of his parents, and instead they play footage of Jonathan and Martha Kent, not his birth
Yeah,
parents.
of him like growing up with them and stuff. It was really cute.
And that's where the movie ends.
But also, before that, we learned one of the robots, they always make it a point to tell Superman that, like, well, if I had feelings, I would think this. But the one main robot said he wanted a real name, not just a number name. And Superman's like, well, 4 is a name. And the robot's like, well, so is Gary. It's just so funny.
So
It
funny.
came out of nowhere. And then I did see that in the credits, they did list him as Gary.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's funny. So yeah, that was the movie. Just a few things I want to finish touching up on, I guess.
Do we want to get into the mid and post credit scene?
Do we need to? Okay. Good.
So the mid credit scene it's just a cute little scene of Superman and Krypto, I think sitting on the moon, looking down on Earth, but Krypto is like sitting in Superman's arms and like we're seeing them from behind, but Krypto like lays his head on his shoulder looking at us. And it's just so pretty and gorgeous. And I was like, and just a nice moment of Krypto not treating Superman like a punching bag. But then the post credit scene, which when I saw it, I didn't think much about it. But I've read something about it that I was like, oh, that makes sense. So the post credit scene is Superman and Mr. Terrific, and they're looking at this building that had been split by the black hole tearing apart the fabric of the universe. But Mr. Terrific fixed that. He saved it, and then it was pushed back together. But Superman's staring at it with Mr. Terrific and being like, it's not fully. It's a little off. He didn't put it back together perfectly. To which Mr. Terrific, he's like, man, come on. I just saved every, you know. And that was it pretty much, right? But I saw somebody saying that when they saw it, they instantly thought of this is James Gunn response or like acknowledgement to the audience and how they're going to pick apart his iteration of Superman and the whole DCU, and he's reminding them like, look where we're coming from, DC movies. The fact that I could put it back together like this. So just some symbolism for that.
Interesting.
And I was like, that actually makes sense, and I could see James Gunn doing that for that purpose.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't view it that way. I just viewed it as a funny scene at the end.
But when you think about it that way, like, yeah, I could see that being a little slight, not a
jab.
Dig. Yeah.
I guess I could see it too. So yeah, those were the post-credit scenes. Not like Marvel; they don't really tease anything. We got our tease during the movie in this one.
With Supergirl.
It'll be interesting to see if we continue to tease during the movie versus after the movie. Maybe the DCU does that instead. A few more things I just want to touch on real quick. I talked about it briefly earlier. Like, this is very unapologetically a James Gunn movie, I think. Like, it has a sense of humor. It also has his heart that he is really good at putting things in. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, for me, is one where it's probably over funny, like too funny for like what's going on. I don't think this one has that issue though, because there were not a lot of times where I felt like I wasn't laughing when the rest of the audience was. The garage scene was really the only one, and basically everywhere else where like I was like, that probably was supposed to be a joke, like no one laughed, so I didn't feel like I was missing out on that much of the jokes,
Yeah.
Like I don't think it's as funny as some of his other works, which is fine. I think that works well for this Superman movie. But the laughs that I did laugh were big laughs.
Yeah, I don't know if he was trying to be as funny in this one, because I do think that like the conflict of this felt like more relatable than a lot of Marvel conflicts, I feel. It just felt more real world in a way. And so like maybe he is still trying to keep some of this darker DC style to it, but still like brightening up at moments.
Yeah, so I just want to touch on that.
I think that's good, like that it's not exactly
No, I agree. I think it did feel for me more like a early Marvel movie than a DC movie, but I don't think that's a bad thing because early Marvel movies were good. Like I think Marvel movies can get dark as well. Like I think Infinity War was pretty dark and Endgame was kind of dark and No Way Home was dark.
That's true.
I still think this is darker than all of those, but like just the feel of it felt Marvel to me. but that's because Marvel exists to compare
Hmm.
it to, essentially, right?
That's true. It definitely felt more Marvel than classic DC.
Yes,
Yes.
correct. Which, again, I don't think is a bad thing. We already talked about the camera movements, the shots. It's such a fun movie to watch because the camera is moving so much. And again, James Gunn really just he knows how to move that camera, you know. He has his artistic vision and I think he hits it. And then
Oh yeah.
the score is so good in this movie. I could understand the people that maybe wanted a new Superman theme in this movie. I can maybe understand that. But I think the whole purpose of this movie is to just tell audiences that they're going to be okay with James Gunn at the helm. And the best way to do that is to use the OG Superman theme
Yes.
written by John Williams in this movie. And I think it works. Anytime it pops up in this movie, I instantly got so excited.
Yeah.
Like I smiled this whole movie. Like I don't think I stopped smiling.
Yeah, I agree. I think it also just comes back to like James Gunn is trying to say like he's not trying to do a full like uphaul of this DC universe. He's just trying to pull from all of the sources, you know? Like it's still the same character that you love.
Exactly. And it's done by John Murphy, who works with James Gunn a lot more now. He's done Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, and he did the Superman, or not Superman, the Suicide Squad movie, James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie. And then he tied in he and the other guy, David.
And then there are, I think, maybe three tracks on this that aren't like instrumental. They are more upbeat pop rock type of songs, which we didn't talk about. Well, the one we did, it was during Mr. Terrific's fight scene. That was one of them. But the other two, one of them is the song Punk Rock, and this was another. I didn't even mention it earlier, but Lois and Superman are talking at one point earlier in the movie and about how they used to be or something, and she's like, well, I was kind of a punk rock kid, and he's like, oh yeah, me too, and she's like, what are you talking about? No, you weren't. And at one point later on or something, or at the end of their conversation, he's like, well, maybe this is the real punk rock. And so now it's a thing where people are like, happiness is the real punk rock and like kindness. And I just think that's a great message because, yeah, Superman is the real punk rock. But one of the songs, I forget what the band was called. It's not a real band, but he was like telling her like, "Yeah, I was totally into this punk rock band." And she's like, "I don't even know who that is." But there in the credits, this band plays a song, but it is written by James Gunn, and I just think it's so funny.
Sung by Peter Safran, who is the other executive producer, sung by her daughter.
What's
So
it called?
I don't know,
Oh, okay.
but it was written by Gunn. That's all the wiki says. And the other guy was David Fleming, who did music with John Murphy. David Fleming was actually the one that did a lot of the OG score arrangements, whereas John Murphy kind of did more of the original songs for it. But it's such a good soundtrack. Uh, with all that said, uh, you have what were your standout moments? How do you view the legacy of this film? Funnily enough, originally called Superman Legacy.
I think this is going to have a great legacy. It's the beginning of the DCU, essentially. I'm really excited to see where it goes. I was never like a DC hater, but if I had to choose between DC or Marvel, I would probably choose Marvel most days. There's definitely DC movies that I have enjoyed, but as a whole, Marvel wins by a lot. So I'm excited to see where this goes. Excited to see like how it will start to feel or not feel like too similar to Marvel, maybe. I don't know. We'll see what they do with it. Yeah, that's probably for legacy. Standout moments. Honestly, the entire theme of the movie was touching. Just that, like, at the end of the day, we're all human, and this is punk rock.
Kindness is punk rock. I said pump rock. Um, yeah, for me, legacy wise, definitely. Again, I think the legacy of this movie depends on how the
True.
rest of the
Hmm.
DCU goes. You know, because I know there's still a lot of people that like Man of Steel, but I do think Man of Steel was fairly popular when it first came out, and as the other movies happened, it became less and less popular. So, but I think, as I said, this is like a fantastic start to the DCU. Like, it seems very akin. It's not as grounded as the MCU start was. Like, Iron Man was a very grounded movie, a
That's
supposedly
true.
grounded movie.
I feel like we didn't know what was about to happen with that though.
Right,
Not like
exactly.
this.
Um, yeah, because when that was announced, it was just like, here's an Iron Man movie.
Yeah.
But James Gunn specifically has come out and been like, this is the start of everything we're trying to do here. So I'm excited. I think it's good. Yeah, and I think audiences are going to love it. It made 217 mil opening weekend. Its budget was 225. So it's a second weekend away from profiting already. I still am not sure if I would put it on $1 billion alert.
By when? Ever?
Yeah, like,
I think it will.
you think it'll hit $1 billion?
Yes.
Okay. I don't, because this movie has to serve to bring people back to the DCU bandwagon, but I could be wrong.
I mean, I guess it does depend on how the next movies go. Like, maybe if they start to get hyped up, then people who, like, had been hesitant about seeing it or something.
Well, that's kind of my point, is like, this movie will hype up the other movies. Like, I think Supergirl likely has more of a chance to hit $1 billion. Yes. Because of this movie. Like, there are going to be people that just love Man of Steel too much that are never going to see this movie. There's going to be people that are like, well, the DC movies before sucked, so like, why would I come see this movie? So that's why this movie exists. It has to tell everyone, like, we're okay. Like, we come back. But I could be wrong. We'll see. We'll see where it ultimately ends up. But yeah. And then standout moment for me is probably that Mr. Terrific fight scene, or like the opening fight scene. I thought just anything with fighting was so good here. Yeah. So, with all that said, let's go into final scores. You want to go first?
Yeah, I have given it a 4.5. It was honestly, there's not much I think needed to be changed. I could potentially watch this one again.
Wow.
Yeah, potentially. Like, am I dying to go watch it again? No. Like, it's not a 5, but I wouldn't be mad about seeing it again. It would keep my interest seeing it again.
For me, like I said, I think my expectations were very high. They did not quite meet those expectations. It's a very fun watch. It's probably not as good of a movie as, say, Iron Man, which I would give a 4.5. So because of all of that, I would give this a 4 out of 5, which, again, is a darn good movie. 4 out of 5 for me. So that averages out to what? 4.25. So, I mean, we're pretty much in line, the two of us, with all the other Letterboxd Rotten Tomatoes scores. So there's the Superman review. Just some news to share before we finish up today's episode. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up listening that I will be on vacation next week. So at some point, there will be a shorter little fun episode that comes out, not a full movie review, just while I'm on vacation so that we don't have to worry about editing and recording a 2-hour-long episode. But we'll definitely love to know your thoughts about that episode. Maybe we look into doing shorter episodes in the future. And then, as always, let us know your thoughts on this episode. And then we will be back with a new movie review with Fantastic Four. But look for that a couple weeks after its initial release, because I will be on vacation. So yeah, let us know what you thought of this episode down below. Thank you again for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye.